Exciting news of my own, and I will enlighten you very soon.
Are you digging for dirt on me?
No.
Did Kane put you up to this?
Okay, what's it about?
It's Audra. There's something that you need to know about the kind of person she really is.
The silence in the Newman penthouse was a rare and fragile thing. It was not the comfortable quiet of companionship, but the heavy, breathless stillness that precedes a storm. Victor Newman, a man who had built an empire on the bones of his rivals and the sheer force of his will, stood at the floor-to-ceiling window, a crystal tumbler of amber whiskey untouched in his hand. The glittering skyline of Genoa City sprawled before him, a kingdom he commanded with an iron fist. But today, the view offered no solace. Across the room, his wife, Nikki, watched him. Her posture was as perfectly composed as her blonde chignon, but her fingers, wrapped around her own teacup, betrayed a faint, constant tremor. She knew this man, the set of his shoulders, the almost imperceptible tightening of his jaw. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. "Victor," she began, her voice soft but cutting through the silence like a scalpel. "You've been standing there for 20 minutes. You didn't even react to the quarterly reports. What is it?" Victor didn't turn. "It's nothing, Nikki. Business." "Don't you dare nothing me," she said, her tone sharpening. "I know the difference between your business is a challenge silence and your the world is ending silence. This is the latter." Just then, the elevator doors chimed open, and their son, Nick, strode in, his usual easygoing demeanor replaced by a pinched look of concern. "Okay, I'm here. What's the emergency? Your text was cryptic even for you, Dad." Victor finally turned from the window. The light caught the lines on his face, etching them deeper, making him look every one of his years. He looked from his wife to his son, and in that moment, the indomitable Titan seemed diminished. "Sit down," Victor commanded, his voice a low rumble. "I'd rather stand," Nick countered, shoving his hands in his pockets. "I said, sit down," Victor repeated, and the authority in his tone was so absolute, so ingrained, that Nick found himself lowering into a leather armchair without another word. Nikki moved to sit beside Victor on the sofa, her spine straight, a fortress preparing for a siege. "Victor, whatever it is, just say it." He took a long, slow breath, a man steeling himself for a battle he could not win. He placed his tumbler on the coffee table with a definitive click. "I had my annual physical with Dr. Watkins last week. The standard blood panels, the full workup." Nikki's hand flew to her throat. "Your heart." "It's not my heart," Victor said, his gaze fixed on a point somewhere between his wife and his son. He was looking into the abyss. "They found something. A marker. A protein. It's not important. What's important is that they did more tests. An MRI, a spinal tap." The words spinal tap hung in the air, cold and clinical and terrifying. "My God, Victor," Nikki whispered, the color draining from her face. Nick leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. "Found what? Dad, what are you talking about?" Victor finally met his son's eyes, and the raw, unvarnished truth in that blue gaze was more frightening than any corporate takeover or shouted threat Nick had ever witnessed. "It's a neurological disorder," Victor said, the words dropping like stones into the quiet room. "A rare, progressive, incurable condition. It's called Lewy body dementia." The silence that followed was absolute. It was as if the very air had been sucked out of the penthouse. Nikki stared, her mind refusing to process the syllables. Incurable. Progressive. Dementia. Nick gave a short, disbelieving laugh. "No. That's impossible. You're Victor Newman. You're the strongest man I know. You're just tired. Stressed. It's a misdiagnosis. We'll get a second opinion, a third." "I've already had 3, Victor interrupted, his voice terrifyingly calm. "The Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, a specialist in Switzerland. They all concur. The scans don't lie, Nicholas." Nikki found her voice a broken, fragile thing. "Dementia? But you're so sharp. You're running a global corporation. You can't have dementia." That's the insidious nature of it, Nikki, Victor explained, as if he were in a boardroom presenting a difficult merger. It's not just memory loss. Not like Alzheimer's. It's fluctuations. One day I can be perfectly lucid, the next my mind is a fog. I have hallucinations. Visual ones. I see people who aren't there. I get confused. My motor skills will deteriorate. The Parkinson's-like symptoms will come later. The tremors, the stiffness. He recited it like a prognosis from a textbook, but each word was a bullet tearing through the foundation of their lives. How long? Nick asked, his voice hoarse. How long have you known? I've suspected for about 6 months, Victor admitted. The little lapses. Forgetting a meeting I'd just scheduled. Seeing my father standing in the corner of the office. I thought it was stress. Or guilt. Finally catching up to me. He gave a bitter, hollow smile. Turns out, it was just a disease. No more poetic than that. 6 months. Nikki cried out, her composure shattering. You've known for 6 months and you didn't tell me? We're supposed to be partners, Victor. In everything. And what would you have done, Nikki? He shot back, a flash of the old fire in his eyes. Watched me like a hawk for every slip? Treated me like a patient instead of a husband? I needed to be sure. I needed to know what we were facing. Nick stood up, pacing the room like a caged animal. This isn't a we problem, Dad. This is a you problem. This is the end of Newman Enterprises. My God, the board, the stockholders, if they find out. They cannot find out, Victor said, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, the CEO taking over once more. Not a word of this leaves this room. Not to your sister, not to Victoria, not to anyone. Is that understood? Victoria, Nikki breathed, her mind reeling. We have to tell Victoria. She's the CEO, Victor. She has a right to know. She has a right to know nothing. Victor slammed his fist on the coffee table, making the crystal jump. The outburst was sudden, violent, and utterly unlike his usual controlled fury. It was the rage of a cornered man, a man facing his own mortality. Do you have any idea what would happen if this got out? The stock would plummet. Our competitors would circle like vultures. Jabot would devour us whole. Everything I have built, everything my family is, would be torn apart. We would be a pity story in the business section. The mighty Victor Newman, brought low by his own mind. He stood, his imposing frame seeming to fill the room again, but the effort was visible. It was a performance. This is my legacy we are talking about. My life's work. I will not have it end like this. Not with whispers. Not with pity. Nick stopped his pacing and looked at his father, truly looked at him. He saw the slight tremor in the hand that had just slammed the table. He saw the flicker of fear in the eyes that had once cowed billionaires. And in that moment, Nick Newman, the son who had spent his entire life rebelling against this man's shadow, felt a seismic shift. The rivalry, the resentment, the endless power struggles, it all melted away, leaving only the stark, terrifying reality of a son watching his father begin to disappear. So, what's the plan, Dad? Nick asked, his voice quiet, resigned. You can't hide this forever. People will notice. The plan, Victor said, his voice regaining a sliver of its steel, is business as usual. I will remain as chairman. Victoria will continue as CEO. You, Nicholas. The Young and the Restless, YNR, spoilers update for the week of October 20th to 24th reveals that Claire Newman, Haley Aaron, will make a hospital visit and give Sharon Newman, Sharon Case, some surprise comfort. Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope, will also make a bold move, so there'll be a lot happening on the CBS soap. For starters, Christine Blair's Laura Lee Bell bachelorette party will take a wrong turn thanks to Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, barging in uninvited. The power will ultimately go out at the athletic club, which will affect Danny Romalotti's, Michael Damian, bachelor gathering as well. However, Phyllis won't be responsible for that power outage, since it'll turn out to be related to some construction problems. Phyllis will try to accept what she can't change when it comes to Danny's future with Christine. This marriage is going down whether Phyllis likes it or not, so she'll tell Danny that she wants him to be happy. Next, Daniel Romalotti Jr., Michael Graziade, will face Tessa Porter's Kate Fairbanks' drunk kiss and will have to make some hard choices in the aftermath. Mariah Copeland's Cameron Grimes' past will also take center stage, so she may imagine Ian Ward, Ray Wise, and Will Hensley, Michael Swan, are there haunting her at her facility in Boston. Back with Phyllis, she has some shocking romantic developments coming up, and they'll most likely involve crossing a passionate line with Kane Ashby, Billy Flynn. Kane and Phyllis will reach an agreement after things head in a surprising direction, so they may agree to be friends with benefits. On the other hand, Phyllis and Kane might agree it can never happen again, though that's an agreement that could easily be broken. In Los Angeles, Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, will track down Sienna Bacall, Tamara Braun, and introduce himself as he searches for more Noah Newman, Lucas Adams intel. Meanwhile, Claire will visit the hospital and give Sharon some comfort as she worries about Noah's medical condition. Kyle Abbott, Michael Mealer, will also try to expose Holden Novak, Nathan Owens, as a dirty, rotten scoundrel, so he'll take notice of Holden's shady meeting with Sienna and call Claire's attention to it, too. Later, Y&R spoilers say Kyle will interrogate Sienna and try to get to the bottom of her Holden connection. Finally, Sally will make a bold move for Audra Charles's Zuleika Silver sake, so she may fight for her friend's role at Abbott Communications, even if Jill Abbott, Jess Walton, and Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, aren't supportive. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Sally will step up for Audra and hope things work out, so stay tuned for updates on any major career news ahead. The Young and the Restless, Y&R, spoilers update for Tuesday, October 21st, reveals that Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, will engage in some risky behavior while Tessa Porter, Kate Fairbanks, has a booze-fueled wild night. Y&R fans know that Mariah Copeland, Cameron Grimes, seems more depressed and distant than ever. Tessa's visit to Mariah's facility in Boston didn't go well at all, so she'll want to drink away the problems on Tuesday's show. Once Tessa tries to use alcohol to numb her pain, Daniel Romalotti Jr., Michael Graziade, will see that she could use some help. Tessa will barely be able to stand, so Daniel will think she'd better sleep this off in a suite upstairs at the athletic club. On the way up, Tessa will find another way to distract herself from all her Mariah heartbreak. Daniel's in for a big surprise when Tessa leans in and kisses him passionately. Although Daniel has fallen hard for Tessa, he obviously won't think it's a good idea for passion to erupt like this. Tessa will be drunk and emotionally distraught over Mariah, so Daniel will no doubt push her away for the time being. Over with Kane Ashby, Billy Flynn, he'll approach Devin Winters, Bryton James, and hope they can put any animosity behind them. Kane may hope that by making peace with Devin, it'll serve as the first step toward making peace with Lily and the twins, too. However, Kane's goal won't pan out since there's no chance Devin will just forgive and forget. Devin's response may leave Kane more discouraged than ever when it comes to repairing his reputation and fixing his family. As for Phyllis, she'll behave in a way that's awfully risky. We'll see Phyllis do something big and bold, so we'll see if that involves a strategy to impress Kane or perhaps mixing business with pleasure. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Phyllis is set to get an unexpected love interest soon, so it's possible she'll lock lips with Kane and make their arrangement more complicated. Whatever the case, Phyllis will prove she's a gambling woman when she makes her next move, so stay tuned for updates on the shocking news to come. The Young and the Restless, Y&R, recap for Tuesday, October 21st, reveals that Ian Ward's Ray Wise return will stun Mariah Copeland, Cameron Grimes, while Kane Ashby, Billy Flynn, surrenders to Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil, demand. At Society, Kane will overhear Devin Winters, Bryton James, trashing him to Abby Winters, Melissa Ordway, when he walks in. Lily will arrive soon after, so Kane will convince her to sit with him and make his latest "I've changed" spiel. Kane will admit he developed the AI program for the wrong reasons and will confess to his Genoa City takeover plans. However, Kane will assure Lily that he's turning things around and now wants to use the program for something good. Lily will insist the program must be destroyed instead and will argue that handing it over to her would be a good first step toward proving Kane has changed. Kane will suggest Lily should consider it done then and will surrender to her demand. At Crimson Lights, Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, will work on her laptop as she schemes to score control of Kane's AI and make sure she's holding all the cards in GC. At the GCAC, Daniel Romalotti Jr., Michael Graziade, will walk in with Tessa Porter, Kate Fairbanks, after a rushed trip home from Boston. Although Daniel was hoping to make it back in time to join Danny Romalotti's Michael Damian bachelor party, he'll see that the bash must have wrapped up already. Tessa won't want to go home yet, so she'll get the nanny to stay with Aria Porter Copeland, Maddie, and Millie Ingle another night. Daniel will join Tessa for a drink in the jazz lounge and quickly realize she wants to get drunk to forget her problems. Since Tessa will be set on drowning her sorrows, Daniel will at least think she needs to get some food and drink some water, too. Tessa will head to the athletic club's dining area with Daniel and guzzle more booze, but she'll remain distraught over Mariah blowing up their life together. After Tessa decides to head up to a suite, Daniel will help her since she'll be tipsy and stumbling. That'll lead to Daniel holding Tessa on the staircase, where she'll surprise him by planting a passionate kiss. At the Boston Clinic on Tuesday's YNR episode, Mariah will consider contacting Tessa before calling Sharon Newman, Sharon Case, instead. Sharon will be by comatose Noah Newman's Lucas Adams' bedside when the call comes in, so she'll step out in the waiting area to answer it. Mariah will admit she's struggling and will give Sharon updates on Tessa's visit. After Mariah wishes Sharon could hold her and offer comfort, she'll wonder if her mom could come see her. Sharon will stammer a bit since she won't want to leave Noah, but she won't want to give the news of his crash to Mariah.